I decided to put together a video on Discus Aquarium setup that will hopefully provide a good resource for people that are just getting into the hobby. The goal is to show you, kind of an all-encompassing video for a beginner on the filtration, the substrate, basically everything you need to know for setting up the aquarium. This aquarium here is a 60-gallon one that's so it has the same footprint as a 55-gallon aquarium. It's just taller. Discus like to swim vertically, and so a taller aquarium, at least in my opinion, works is a little bit better than a deeper aquarium. The size, or where I wanted to put the aquarium in my house, this size aquarium worked perfect for me. But if you have more space, there are other options out there available, of course. But you'll have to adjust your filtration to the size of your aquarium. The tank here, I bought it at a local pet store. It's just a cheap 60-gallon aquarium. I then took it to a dedicated fish store and had them drill the aquarium. If you're going to be using a Refugium setup, I would highly recommend you go ahead and get the aquarium drilled, and that way the hoses and the attachments will be this will be a lot easier on you in the long run. Plus, it's a cleaner look to the aquarium. The hole on the left side is 1 inch. The hole on the right side is 3/4. So the outflow side is the 1 inch side. The inflow side is the 3/4 inch. You can drill those holes yourself, but the bill, unless you're going to be doing this on a regular basis, the drill bits that you would purchase from Lowe's and Home Depot are typically cheap enough that they're going to leave a really rough cut, and so it's very inexpensive just to take it to your local fish store and have them drill it for you, and then you'll get a nice professional quality cut to the aquarium, and for $20 you can have it all done and not have to worry about doing it yourself. If you do decide that you want to attempt to drill the aquarium, it's not that hard to do, and there are some videos, pretty good videos on YouTube that go through that. But I would just recommend taking it and having it drilled at a local fish store instead. When you first start reading about keeping discus, you probably come across right away whether or not to be using RO water. And a lot of that depends on the location of your water supply and whether your water is alkaline, neutral, or acidic. Where I live in Omaha, Nebraska, and our water is very alkaline here. And so for keeping discus, I really need to have at least a percentage of RO water to help make it more suitable for the fish. I bought an AquaFX Barracuda RO filter, and it works really well for the size aquarium in my setup. But there are other options out there that you can look at that will help you to decide if you're using a larger aquarium. You may want to get an RO filter that can produce more water per hour than what the Barracuda does, but it does well for my setup. In Omaha, I mix, you'll have to kind of play with this based on where you are located, but to get my water quality to where water chemistry to where I want it, I mix about 60 or 70% RO water with 30 or 40% tap water, and the tap water helps provide the buffer, and while the RO water helps to make the water in the aquarium much softer. So essentially my chemistry in my water right now is moderately soft with a pH that runs between 6, 8, and 7 most of the time. Discus in the wild, they live in very acidic water that's very soft, but most of the aquarium fish in the hobby have been bred in water that is more neutral, so pH is closer to 7 in water that is only mildly soft. So you don't really need to get super aggressive on trying to get your pH lower, and if you have more buffer in the water, it provides a more stable environment. And in the end, that's really what your goal is. And so even if your pH in your aquarium is 7.2, 7.3 or something along those lines, it's more about the stability. Discus don't like change to the water, and so you really need to kind of keep an eye on that pH and try to make it as stable as possible. And so if you're going to go with a pH of 7.2 or 7.3, that's fine, but just try to keep it there. You don't want your pH ranging from 7.3 or 7.4 all the way down to 6.3 before you have your change in your water. from this view here, we're actually looking at the what would be the left side of the aquarium from the front. And so this is the outflow side. And so you can see the outflow tubing running from the back of the aquarium, and it drops down into the refugium. And I also have a Fluval 306 canister filter attached to working on this aquarium as well. And that's optional. Most people that use a refugium setup do not use additional filtration like the canister filter. But I travel quite a bit, and I'm trying to keep my water quality as stable, or as water chemistry and quality as stable as possible for the fish. And so I decided to add additional filtration. But like I said, if you're going to use a refugium setup, then you probably will be fine just using that alone. You just want to obviously allow plenty of time for your tank to cycle before you start adding fish to it. So this is my refugium setup under the aquarium. This is actually an Eshopps Sump, but the fish store I went to purchase it from, they did not carry the refugium at that time. And a sump will work essentially the same. And so that's how I set this aquarium up. You can see the water flowing from the aquarium down into the sump that enters on that left side. That tubing you saw on the back of the tank is entering on the back left of this sump. It drops into this collection area in the back and then spills over into the sock. And that's a 300 micron sock. That's a 7-inch diameter. I clean the sock, or I exchange the sock once a week. And when I go to clean it, I'll take the sock and I'll clean it with hot water first, and then I'll actually use a small amount of bleach in the water to sterilize the sock. And after which I let it air dry, and then we'll put it up in a cabinet. And I have about four socks in rotation. So, one sock gets used a week, and then it gets put to the back of the line and gets rotated. And when the sock gets to the point where it's you're no longer able to use it anymore, you just throw it away. You can purchase new socks on Amazon, for relatively cheap, and just get them delivered. In the bottom of there, on the bottom below the sock, I added some biological media to help again with the biological filtration in the aquarium. I put that in there before I added the Fluval canister filter, and so now I kind of have an overkill of filtration. But I'm a believer that you can't have too much filtration for stable water quality. So I just left the biological media in place. The water from there then spills through the baffles into the compartment that contains the plants. So looking into the plant compartment, the substrate that I use there is a freshwater version of Miracle Mud, which is called Miracle Mud 2, I believe. And you exchange that once every 6 months and change it out. And it works really well as a plant substrate. You want a plant in your refugium that's going to grow fast and that has low maintenance, very easy. And so most people use either Java or Wisteria. And you can see in this refugium I've put in Wisteria, and it works really well. It grows very easy and quick. I also have, can't really see it from that angle, but there's a pH monitor probe that is sitting in there. That's that black wire that's running into the plant compartment there. So there's a pH monitor attached to this. I would encourage you to buy one. I use a Pinpoint pH monitor. It's relatively inexpensive, works great, allows you to calibrate, very accurate, and then you can watch your pH and make sure that it's not changing too quickly and stressing the fish. It gives you an idea how your water quality is working as well. Also, you want to, obviously check your ammonia, nitrites, and nitrate levels, on a weekly basis or so, just to make sure that you're not having any surprise change there. But once the tank is completely cycled, it's pretty rare for you to have a problem. But that would be a good recommendation, just to keep an eye on that once a week. The water then flows from the plant compartment over the sponge and down into the compartment where it pumps out. I have some more biological media underneath that, and I've also added a couple of air stones just to help with aeration of the water. That's optional as well, but I like to keep the oxygenation in the water as high as I can. You know, primarily the water is very warm, and so it's nice to have a little bit of aeration in the water from that. But there are plenty of live plants in there that this shouldn't be an issue, and so that's an optional component. The light for the Refugium is just a plant bulb. There's multiple ways you can do it, but I would recommend that you keep it on 24 hours a day. Some people, they used to keep them on, and cycle through, so 12 hours on, 12 hours off, or something along those lines. And if you keep it on 24 hours, they found the water is more stable. That way, you have less changes in your water chemistry if you keep it on 24 hours a day. The pump that leads out of my Refugium is an AquaTop 2600, which pumps up about 4 feet to where the inlet's at, maybe about 3.5 feet. But essentially it's pumping at about 500 gallons per hour at that 3.5–4 foot head. And so if you're going to just run a Refugium as your filtration, then you should probably target or aim to get about 100 gallons per hour for every 10 gallons of aquarium water. It would be an ideal number for keeping discus. But I have that Fluval filter on the back as well, which is a fairly substantial canister filter. And between the two of them, that's plenty of cycling for the filtration. When the water gets pumped out of this Refugium, it runs up to the aquarium there on the right side of the aquarium, but as it goes, I have it passing through a UV filter, which I'll show you here in a second. That's running on this inflow side to the aquarium. So this is the back side on the right of the aquarium. I mean, facing the front of the aquarium, this would be the right side. And the tubing is running up from the pump up back to the aquarium. And you can see the UV filter that it's passing through. And that's an Aqua UV filter. It's a 15-watt inline filter that kind of passes through that main there. That's an optional feature as well. You don't have to use a UV filter. You can read about some of the pluses and minuses to them and decide whether you want to or not. I decided to go with it on this aquarium setup. I have several other aquariums, and I use them on, I have UV filters on 2 of the 3. And so it's more, you can read about it. I'm not going to get into the pros and cons of them right now, but you can look at the options and decide whether you want to or not. But again, that's an optional feature. One thing that is important is on the pump side, so from the Refugium on this side that's pumping back up to your aquarium, you really want to put in a valve so that you can control the flow of water going back into the aquarium. And it also allows you to close off that side of the aquarium when you go to siphon, so you don't have to worry about water backtracking into the Refugium from that side. And so it makes things easy when you have to change out the UV bulb on the UV filter, or if you have to, when you're going to clean the aquarium itself and you're siphoning, then you don't have to worry about water backflowing into the Refugium. The valve is right there. I'll zoom in on it a little bit. It might get a little blurry, but so there's the valve. You can pick them up at the fish store. They're just a few bucks. You can buy them off Amazon as well. And then from there, it enters back into the aquarium. So a couple other points to finish up, kind of give you hopefully a fairly inclusive example of a discus tank setup. The gravel in the aquarium, that substrate, is actually just pool filter sand that you can pick up at Ace Hardware or one of those stores. And it's an inert substance, so it doesn't change your water chemistry. And the contrast that it provides to the fish, I think, is a really good feature of it. In addition to the fact that it's not going to make your water more alkaline. Obviously, you have your options of backgrounds for the aquarium. I like that black background to the fish. Again, it makes them stand out between the white substrate, the black background, and then you have the natural plant aquarium. I really like the way it makes the fish pop or stand out. The only thing that some people don't like maybe is that the black background almost causes a mirror effect in the back of the aquarium. So you can probably see on the video, but the fish have a reflection in the back of the aquarium when they're swimming around, which from certain angles you don't really notice, but straight on it seems to really be pronounced. There are a couple circulating fans in the aquarium that I would recommend that you go ahead and do as well, primarily because you can turn them on. You can set them on timers and have them go on a couple times a day, or you can just do it manually. And you run them for 10 or 15 minutes at a time, a couple times a day, and it helps to kick up some of the fish waste that's in the bottom, as well as some of the food that has not been eaten, and helps it get to the filtration so it can get filtered out. The other reason too is that it helps to by having those fans turn on, you help to somewhat decrease the issues with algae growth as well, and it helps really cycle your water around, keeps it crystal clear, and gives it kind of that floating effect, which is nice. As far as water changes go with aquariums, if you ask anybody who keeps discus, you'll probably get a different answer. A lot of people change their water daily. I think that's a little bit of an overkill. When you first get the fish, it's probably worth doing a water change daily until they become accustomed to it, and the stress from the moving is gone. But currently in this aquarium here, I change the water about once every 3 days or so, and I usually do about a 50% water change when I do that. And my water chemistry has been perfect, with this type of water change. You can typically keep about 1 discus fish per 10 gallons of aquarium water is a pretty good estimate, because they obviously do get pretty large in size. So that's why there's 6 discus in here in a 60-gallon aquarium. As far as tank companions that you can put with discus, neons are ideal. They help to reduce the stress in the aquarium. They look good there as well with that black background, and they'll help just kind of give the contrast to the discus. And then cories are excellent for bottom feeders, because they'll pick up some of the food that's been left behind, and they won't bother the discus. Won't bother the discus at all. There's also Reminose tetras are a great addition. They look really good as well, and are also not going to stress the fish out. If there's something I haven't covered that you guys have questions about, something I forgot to put in there, feel free to put it in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And if I can't answer the question, then at least I can potentially direct you to somebody who can. All in all, discus fish do require more care than a standard aquarium, from my experience, but it's not impossible. And the fact that the water chemistry, like we were talking about, you'll read about how it has to be really acidic and really soft, but it's just really not the case, as long as you keep it stable. And so, but hopefully this video has worked out for you guys. But like I said, please let me know if there's anything else that you have questions on, and I'll try to get back to you.